Hello, everyone. This is Kerwin, and welcome to another episode of Travel Talk. Today's a different type of Travel Talk episode. I I just had an amazing travel experience, and I really wanted to share it with you. Uh, so I I was coming from the air show, and the bus was late. We exited at the wrong entrance, and so we had to walk from one entrance to the next to get the bus. The bus were late. There's lots of traffic. And I get to the airport and I decide to first stop at the Visitor Information Bureau because I had some questions about my ticket. And the lady there was very helpful, extremely helpful. Her English is flawless, and so is her French. And so we spoke, and she gave me the information that I needed. So then I gave her some feedback. I said, by the way, when you get off the bus, it doesn't tell you where the RER is until you get you have to guess. And then once you guess, if you're wrong, you go the wrong way. If you're right, you go the right way. And she's like, yeah, I think we've seen that. But anyway, neither here nor there. So, given the information that she gave me, I went to the train ticket place and I updated my card. Now, the card I had, I didn't understand how it worked, but when you buy the cards here, this is the one you use on the tap card. It's €2 for the card itself, and then it adds whatever you want in it. So I paid €4 because I paid for the card and I paid for a one-way bus ticket. I get so I had nothing on the card, and the folks were really helpful, and they showed me how to add stuff to the card because it's not the instruction is not necessarily correct on how to add. It's that they're translating the French to English, and the English translation doesn't really tell you what the French translation does. But anyway, so I topped up my card and I get on the Orlyval because I had to go get my bus from Rossi Pole. And if you've not been to CDG, there's CDG 1 and CDG 2. There kind of is no CDG 3. It's a long story. But if you're going to take a local bus from, it's called Roissy, which is Roissy, Paul, and that's where the bus station is. And so if you have to take like a Flixbus or any one of those buses to the CDG airport, it'll drop you right at Rossi Pole. So I get to Rossi Pole and I'm waiting for my bus. My bus doesn't show up. And I'm giving you background because this background is actually part of the story. And so I'm just waiting, and this young lady shows up, and she comes over to me, and I see her looking at the bus stop, and she says to me, "Well, is this the?" She shows me on her phone, and she's like, "Is this the right bus?" She had a bag. I guess she had a purse, another bag, and then a roller bag. And she seems very concerned, very agitated. And I said to her, I said, yes, this is the right bus. This is the stop where you go. And she was confused because the bus says sans passager, which means no passengers. Because what they do here, the buses drive around no passengers, and then when they're ready for passengers, they put the route number on there. So I'm with her, and we're waiting for the bus. And then she comes, she proceeds to type something, and she goes, there are pickpockets here. And I said, yeah. What she did, she typed it in Japanese, and it translated it to English in her app. And so I turned to her and I said, yes, there are pickpockets. And she goes, like the guy over there. And this is what she's typing. So I look over, and this guy is the guy who got off the CDG Val with me, and he was coming up the stairs, and his bag tripped. Like he let go his bag, or his bag fell out of his hand. and it was right next to me. Now he was walking very, very close to me, and I moved over. I didn't trust that guy. He just looked very shifty, and he's like, he's up to no good. And the fact that he dropped that bag going up the stairs, trying to pull his bag up the stairs, was very suspect. And I thought nothing of it at the time, but now thinking back, and the fact that this young lady felt that he was a pickpocket, I'm like, hmm. So I'm standing there with her, and we started to have a conversation. Now, she obviously trusts me for whatever reason, but she trusts me. She doesn't trust the guy that's standing right to the right of us. And then, we started to talk a little more. Her English, she can understand English, but whenever she just can't say what she wants to say, she goes to her phone and she types. And then she goes, um, we're talking about how much it costs and things like that. And I said, you know what? I have a card. Um, I said, the same card I just filled. I said, why don't you take my card? Because she said she had cash and she was going to pay on the bus. And I said, they should give you change. Um, but, and she was taking out €5. And I said, you know what? Take my card. She goes, no, 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 I can't take your card. I said, no, take my card. So I give her my card and she gives me um, some Japanese tea. Um, let me pause and get my. Okay, so she gives me this Japanese tea. Now, at this point, I make sure uh, get the camera thing going. I'll put it this way so you can see it. Um, okay, there it is, right? Now, at this point, we're kindred spirits because I love tea. And so, and she tells me the tea, I think it's uh, roasted rice tea with matcha. And so she wrote in her phone roasted rice tea. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I love tea. I can't for the life of me remember how to say thank you in Japanese, which is arigato. I can arigato gozaimasu. But I couldn't remember. I was so speechless. I couldn't remember how to say that. Now, oddly enough, I was just talking to another Japanese guy at the show today. We were talking about the language. Couldn't remember to save my life at the moment. So I said thank you. And then I said, how do you say thank you in Japanese? And she goes, arigato. And I go, arigato gozaimasu. And she goes, she said, yes, that's how you say thank you. So we're continuing our conversation, just talking. And she's like, she's traveling single, and we're just talking. And but then she types something else on her phone, and she goes, I don't trust the other guy either. Should I take a taxi? And I said to her, if you don't feel safe, then you should probably take a taxi. So I don't think you have to. I don't know how far she was going. I said, but we don't need to take a taxi. But then I started thinking, and I'm like, she wants to get on this bus. There are these two guys standing at the bus stop that she doesn't feel comfortable with. One of them, I don't feel comfortable with. The other guy, I think he's okay, but the other one, I don't like that guy. And so I say to her, I say, you know what? Let's go take a taxi. I said, it's on the other side. I'll walk you over there to take the taxi. And meanwhile, I completely like oblivious and forgotten about my bus, which never showed up anyway. And I walk her over to the taxi place. This story gets better. Bear with me. I walk over to the taxi place and she goes, oh, let me use Uber. Now, here's the weird thing. This taxi place, it's full of taxis. Everybody who comes out of the station is getting an Uber or some other shared ride. Now, I'm not a fan of Uber. I don't like how they treat their employees. Their contractors, if you want to call them that, their drivers. I just don't like how they do. And the fact that they charge ridiculous pricing at times and just kind of how they become the company that they are. As someone who is older, Uber never existed. And then I saw them from nothing to what they are today, and I don't like how they became what they are today. So I don't really support Uber. I will only use Uber if it's absolutely necessary. And I use Lyft, or here in Paris, I use Bolt. So she pulls out her Uber app and she starts to type the information in. It comes up to say pay. She hits pay and there's an error. And she tries this like 3 or 4 times, and I see her visually frustrated. And I'm thinking, well, I just book the Uber for her. And so I said, you want me to book it for you? Now, as much as that Uber is annoying, they actually have a thing where you can book for another person who's an Uber person. So when they get in the car, they can track the ride on their phone. So I never knew they had this option. And so I did that option instead of just booking the Uber and having her get in and go. So I said, I'll book it for you. And she's like, I'll pay you. I said, no, you cannot, you cannot pay me. So now she wants to give me about the card that I gave her. I said, no, you keep that card because you can use that to get on the bus. Once you get to your hotel and you relax, she's only here for a few days. And she goes, no, 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 I can't take it. I go, yes, you can. I'm not taking it back. It's yours. So she continues, and now I booked the Uber, and and I show it coming and all that. And she is so relieved that she's got the Uber book. She was even ready to book a taxi while we were there. But she started taking money out of her wallet, her bag, and it was very weird. The taxi guys, they all just sit there and they talk to each other. And there's like a whole bunch of them, and they don't even look trustworthy. Because I swear one of them was coming towards the two of us, and she moved to the side because she thought he was gonna do her something. She was just not. She was just in a really weird space, and I could very much understand. She's a solo traveler. It's her first time to Paris. She's from Japan. Um, English. She knows some English. She doesn't know any French. And so, it's very scary. She's a young lady traveling by herself. So we booked Uber, and I said, hey, it's going to be here in a minute and a half. I will make sure you get on, and they take care of you. And so we go around to the Uber because all the taxis are blocking the area that the Uber is supposed to pick you up. So I walk around the other side, and I got the thing for her. I didn't even consider doing both because she was comfortably using Uber, and I just didn't want to get that going. So she does. I booked the Uber. The guy comes, and in like 3 minutes or so, she reaches out her hand to shake my hand, and she hugged me, and I hugged her back. And when you hug people, you feel I don't know how to explain it. If you've ever hugged someone, you can feel that person's soul. I don't know if that is, but that's how I feel when I hug someone. And I could feel relief. Um, she wanted to pay me for the ride. I said no. The ride was about 10 euro or something it came out to be. She wanted to pay me. But she wanted to pay me like 50 euros. I go, no. I said, no. I told her, I said, I want you to get your home, get to your destination safely. You don't, no, you don't have to pay me. And she was like, I said, you've already paid me. You've given me some tea. And she smiled. So I'm gonna enjoy my tea in a little bit. I don't think I have hot water here, but at some point during the trip, I'm gonna enjoy my cup of tea. My cup of what is it? Uh, what did I say it was? Roasted rice tea with matcha. So I'm gonna enjoy my tea at some point. Um, but she was happy, and I checked the Uber app, and when the guy picked her up, I said to him, I go, please take care of her. And he goes, yes, I will. And so he took care of her, and I took care of him. I gave him a nice tip. And because the app tells you once they've arrived, and it said they arrived at their destination. So I hope all is well. I share this story because I think it's worth sharing. When you travel, you don't know who you're going to meet. And I've been in places where I actually in my book that I wrote about random act of kindness of strangers, um, I I was in uh, Sarajevo, came over on a night bus from Serbia, Belgrade, and I had Serbian dinars, but I didn't have any Bosnia. God, I forgot the name of the currency for Bosnia, but I had none of that currency. There was a cafe where we stopped, and I spoke to the guy at the cafe, and I said, "Well, I need to get into the city, but I don't have any local Bosnian currency. All I have is Serbian dinars." And he gave me some Bosnian money. And I tried to give him the dinars back to cover them. He goes, "No, I don't want your money." And then I went to the bus. And as it turns out, he didn't give me enough for the bus. And I told the guy, I said, "This is all I have. I don't have enough." The other guy, and it's like broken, well, it's not broken English for me, but I was trying to explain to him slowly because English is not his first language. I don't even think he spoke any English. And so I tried to explain to him what happened and, pointing and all that kind of stuff. When you travel, you do that. And he said, "Get on." And he took me into the city. The fare was incorrect. He did me a huge favor. And so whenever, I've always been like that. Whenever I travel, I try to help travelers to just get around the travel hassle because travel is very difficult. Same thing happens in Houston. Lots of people come to the bus in Houston and they don't have any money for the bus. It's not that they don't have any money for their trip or anything like that, but the system is really complex. It doesn't give you change. You can't use your phone or stuff like that. They don't understand how it works. Um, and so it's always good that if you can help a traveler in your travels, I recommend that you do it. And so I'm sharing this story. So when you're traveling and you see a traveler in distress, please help them. This is Kerwin of PassRider.com and cruising on 2.com. Have a great trip and talk to you soon.